Ripple quietly made a move that could tap into a $120 trillion market. Now, some say that it might send XRP's price to the moon, and I didn't believe it until I ran the numbers for myself. So I grabbed my laptop and a big dose of skepticism and I set out on a mission. So in this video, you're going to come along for this ride. Now I'm going to unravel how Ripple's latest deal sparked wild predictions of a $60 XRP, and what it really means for those of us holding XRP. Plus, I'm going to share a little side quest of my own involving something called Unity. Yes, I'm that crypto nerd who's always experimenting. So by the end of this video, you might just see XRP's future in a whole new light. So let's dive in, or should I say, let's explore this together. Picture this, right? I'm scrolling through my usual feed, and I see Ripple's CEO, Brad Garlinghouse, post about breaking into a $120 trillion market. Now, my first reaction, hold on, did he just say 120 trillion? I nearly fell out of my chair, right? $120 trillion is an absurd number. It is bigger than the GDP of many countries combined. It's basically all of the cash that big companies around the world keep in their corporate coffers. And Ripple, the company behind XRP, just found a back door into it. Here's what happened, right? Ripple announced that it's acquiring a firm called G Treasury for $1 billion. Now, G Treasury isn't some kind of crypto startup. It's a boring, in a good way, finance company that's actually been around for 40 plus years, helping Fortune kind of 500 types manage their money. Right, we're talking managing cash, liquidity, handling payments across borders, the whole kind of treasury shebang. But by buying G Treasury, Ripple instantly gets a bit of a VIP pass to the world of corporate finance. Suddenly, Ripple isn't just the cool blockchain kid. It's the now actually just rubbing shoulders with the biggest cash controllers on the planet. So, why does that matter for XRP? Well, Ripple's network, RippleNet, uses XRP to settle payments in seconds. So if big corporations start using Ripple's tech to move even a fraction of that $120 trillion, well, demand for XRP could explode. Now, Garlinghouse basically said old school payment systems are slow and clunky, and blockchain can fix that. So let's think about a giant corporation that has billions just sitting idle, or maybe even moving sluggishly through outdated banks. Well, Ripple wants to give it a bit of a turbo boost with crypto tech, right? XRP could be the fuel in that engine. So it's no wonder that XRP holders, myself included, went absolutely bonkers when this news hit. Crypto Twitter, it lit up like a Christmas tree. $120 trillion market. XRP is gonna rip, right? You kind of get the idea. Now, I saw posts with rocket emojis, people calculating future XRP prices on the back of napkins. It was an awful lot, and I will admit, my kind of heart started racing just a bit too. I mean, who doesn't like the sound of their favorite coin getting exposure to the largest market on Earth? But then I stopped and I thought, is this for real? Or is crypto Twitter just hyping itself up all over again? So it's time to do some actual math and not just stare, starry-eyed at the big numbers on crypto Twitter. So I dug on in. The buzz was all about XRP capturing just 3% of that $120 trillion market. Why 3%? Maybe it's an arbitrary small slice to stay conservative, or maybe someone on a forum threw it out there and it's just stuck. Either way, I just rolled with it. 3% of $120 trillion is, well, $3.6 trillion. That's how much value would flow into XRP if, in a kind of perfect scenario, some kind of chunk of that corporate money funnels through Ripple's system. Now, to put $3.6 trillion into perspective, it is about 26 times the size of XRP's entire market cap before this news hit. So, at the time of this story, XRP's price was around $2.30 a coin, and all XRP combined were worth around $138 billion. Now, if you suddenly add 3.6 trillion of value, well, you're looking, at roughly $62 per XRP. And yes, $62, roughly a 27x from its current price. So when I saw that number, I nearly, of course, spat out my water, because I don't drink coffee, by the way. It's been an inside joke for months. Anyway, $62 for one XRP. It sounds like pure fantasy. A fantasy land, considering it's been chilling under $3 for a while. But the math doesn't lie. It's quite simple. $3.6 trillion spread over 60 billion XRP tokens, it gives you about $60 each. Now, my calculator was just as shocked as I was. And get this, I'm not the only one crunching the numbers. I discovered that there are several different analysts that had eerily similar predictions on the record. Right, back in August, a well-known crypto commentator, 𝗗𝗶𝘀𝗰𝗋, said on a podcast that if certain catalysts kick on in, XRP could hit $60 within a year. Within a year, I know, right? Take that with a grain of salt, but he said it, right? Even crazier than that, last October when XRP was under $1, analyst Levy basically literally claimed that XRP could surge to over $60 overnight. That sounded absolutely bonkers at the time, like, bro, it's under $1, chill out. But here we are, actually talking about that number with, a straight face. And for a mere kind of conservative take as well, the crypto exchange Changelly predicted $63 by 2033. So, multiple people, from YouTubers to exchanges, have pointed to this $60-ish holy grail for XRP. So it's kind of like the urban legend that just won't die, except now it has a bit more meat to it. By this point, my excitement meter was through the roof. If $62 XRP was even remotely possible, I needed to know how and when, right? Are we talking a slow climb as kind of crypto goes mainstream? A sudden spike where nobody actually expects it? Or is it just a kind of theoretical number that will live on Reddit but never in my portfolio? Before we go any further here, let me hit the brakes for a second. Right? This is where I have to give you a quick reality check, and this is for both of us. Now, this might just shock you, but I'm not a financial advisor, and nothing in this video is financial advice. Cryptocurrencies are highly volatile, and you could lose all of the money that you invest. You should always do your own research and consult a qualified professional. After all, your investments are entirely your responsibility, and you should know that nothing is ever guaranteed when it comes to investing. Neither I, this channel, nor YouTube are liable for any losses, and this video is for entertainment and educational purposes only. Alright, that's the disclaimer done. I know it was a bit of a buzzkill, but it is absolutely necessary. I'm literally here dreaming about $60 XRP, but I don't want anyone remortgaging their house because they think that it's a sure thing, because it is not. It's just a mere possibility, not a promise. Now, let's get back to the story, because we have this kind of tantalizing scenario. Ripple nabbing a piece of a $120 trillion pie, and XRP potentially benefiting from it big time. But let's kind of unpack the catch, right? That $120 trillion isn't like a pot of money waiting to be grabbed. It represents all of the cash and the short-term investments that are held by corporations globally. Right? Those funds, they aren't just flying around looking for a new home. They're sitting in bank accounts, money markets, etc. So what Ripple is aiming for here is to handle the movement of that money more efficiently. So when Brad Garlinghouse is saying Ripple is entering a $120 trillion market, it's exciting, but it's not like $120 trillion of transactions will suddenly run through the XRP ledger next year. Even 3% of that market is a pretty huge ask. It would mean that a lot of big companies would have to trust and adopt Ripple's system, possibly using XRP or at least Ripple's blockchain to move some money around. Now, that's a process that could take several years, right? Corporations move slower than a sloth in a marathon, right? Essentially, and especially, I should say, with new technology, right? They'll test it, then they'll integrate it, they'll comply with regulations and all of that fun stuff. However, and here is the bullish twist that keeps me hodling on. Even if a couple of major players, use XRP for real-world treasury flows, it actually would be pretty massive, right? It would prove the concept, possibly create a bit of a domino effect. And then, you could see that snowball start rolling. It might start with stablecoins or tokenized dollars, right? Imagine companies settling in digital USD tokens through RippleNet, right? Ripple even hinted that their system will handle stablecoins and tokenized assets at scale. So if XRP is the bridge asset providing liquidity for those transactions, well, it benefits indirectly, right? In plain English, XRP might be the oil that lubricates all of those corporate money movements behind the scenes. Now, amidst all of this speculation and high finance talk, you might be wondering, what am I doing besides watching XRP's charts and fantasizing about future prices? Well, I'm going to tell you, I'm not just daydreaming, I'm actually building. Now, one thing that I am experimenting with is a project called Unity Nodes. Now, if you're a regular viewer, then you've probably heard me mention Unity many times before. If not, then here's the gist. It's kind of like joining a community-run network with your spare mobile devices, think old smartphones and tablets, to earn some crypto passively. Kind of like turning your dusty old phone collection into a mini crypto mining farm, right? It's kind of what's going on over here, but without all of the insane electricity bills or technical fuss that goes alongside it. I'm going to keep this brief, but today is mainly about XRP after all. But Unity has caught my attention as a cool way to stack some more and some extra crypto on the side, while we kind of wait for big moonshots, right? Now, I even went ahead and purchased a Unity Node NFT, which came with 200 licenses, basically the rights to connect up to 200 devices to the network. Now, I'm not about to set up 200 phones all at once and turn my house into some kind of crypto data center. At least, not yet. My plan is to start with these 10 phones I have here on my desk when the app goes live, just to test the waters. Now, if it's successful, those phones will quietly start earning me Bitcoin, Ethereum, ADA, and yes, XRP, because you can actually opt to be paid in various different coins, including our beloved XRP. So then I'll consider potentially scaling up over time if it's as good as they say. It's kind of like planting seeds, and I'll see what sprouts. Now, what I love is that those earnings are essentially passive, right? It's a nifty way to stake more crypto, over time, or to stack more crypto over time, I should say, without buying it just outright. Now, my devices here are going to do the work, of course. I'm always going to say do your own research and all that kind of stuff, because Unity does have a light paper and it has a rewards calculator on their website, which I'll link in the description for all of those people who are curious. You can check it out if you want to nerd out on all of the details. It's actually pretty interesting math if you're into all of that. And by the way, we do have a free educational Discord server, the link in the description, where we talk about projects like Unity and we share all of our experiences. So if you have any questions or just want to see how my Unity experiment goes, you can hop in there. It's free and it's full of people exploring crypto in a friendly, no drama environment. Now, the funny thing is, I got so into Unity over the last few weeks that I decided to buy even more Unity master nodes. And yes, I know, right? This one isn't just for me though, by the way. It's actually partly for you and the community. Why? Because not everyone wants to or can drop that amount of money to buy a full node NFT with 200 licenses. So what I'm planning to do is to lease out some of my licenses, my extra licenses, to people who are interested in Unity, but maybe want to dip a toe in first. Now, it's a great way to get others to try out Unity without going all in on their own node. Now, I have more information on how all of this works on our website. It's also linked in the description down below, and of course, in our Discord server. The concept is basically sharing licenses is something that I'm actually really excited about. It makes crypto just more accessible, which has always been my goal with this channel. All right, I know that was a bit of a tangent, but I think it's cool to kind of talk about doing all of these things in crypto. It's not just about speculating, right? After all, if XRP really does go to the moon, then I want to have as much as possible, as I can, right? And Unity, basically projects like Unity might actually help grow that stack over time, little by little. Plus, it's just awesome to be part of something new, some kind of new tech experiment. Okay. Unity segment over, let's refocus on our main storyline here. Ripple's big move into corporate treasury is part of a much broader trend, right? Crypto finally infiltrating the halls of traditional finance. Now, it's not just Ripple, by the way. We're seeing the whole industry inch that way, right? Did someone say BlackRock ETF? Right? But yeah, seriously, right? Ripple is positioning XRP as more than just a banker's coin for remittances, right? And this is about going mainstream, but on a much larger scale, right? A massive scale. If it works, if it truly does work, XRP could become a sort of backbone for moving value around the world, quietly humming in the background of multinational corporations' daily operations, right? And that is huge, right? And it just gives, the very thought of it just gives me chills. However, and it's hype alert time, right? Because I can find myself getting excited here. We've got to manage our expectations. Could XRP really hit $60 plus in the future? You know what? Yes, I think it's possible. Is it guaranteed or is it going to be easy? Absolutely not, right? We've got to remember, right? Even in crypto, a nearly 30x increase from an already large market cap is a pretty heavy lift, right? It's a big ask. It would likely require a perfect storm, successful integration of Ripple's technology into big companies, a genuinely bullish crypto environment, regulatory green lights, and maybe even some FOMO, magic dust to go alongside it. That is a whole lot of ducks that we have to get in a row. On the bright side, seeing real-world moves like the G Treasury acquisition gives much more credibility to those higher price targets. Now, it's not just some guy on YouTube says $589, shout out to the old XRP memes, by the way. This actually is more about Ripple, the company, making some pretty powerful plays. Right? It signals that XRP is not a dead token like people were saying back in 2024. And you know who you are, by the way. It actually has a role to play if things go according to plan. Now, as an XRP holder, I would rather stay and rather be and keep, I guess, the optimistic math and real corporate adoption plans in my mind and not just follow the blind hope. Now, you might be thinking, okay, if XRP could blow up, what do I do about it? It's a great question, and I'm glad you asked, right? I'll tell you what I am doing, right? I'm staying prepared and I'm staying informed. For one, I keep tabs on all of this news, hence this deep dive story time, by the way, but also I have a strategy for being ready when the big moves happen. Now, part of that is having accounts on multiple different exchanges where I could sell or buy in a pinch. It's a pro tip, right? You don't want to be scrambling to sign up for an exchange after something crazy happens. By then, it might just be too late, or the exchange is overloaded. Personally, I've signed up and KYC'd and even tested a whole bunch of different crypto exchanges. Think of this as like having plan A, B, C, and D, right? Because if exchange A goes down or freezes withdrawals during a frenzy, it happens. I mean, just look at a couple of Fridays ago. I could actually go ahead and jump on to plan B or C, right? Just for example, I have accounts on the big ones and the smaller ones too, like Blofin and BitGet and LBank, right? Now, I actually have a link in the description to my website, which links all of the exchanges that I use regularly. Now, those links, they are affiliate links on my website, meaning that if you do use them, it throws a few extra coins my way as a thank you. But of course, it costs you nothing extra. You've got to love that kind of win-win synergy. And hey, the FTC disclosure check, by the way, yes, those are affiliate links that support the channel, right? But that's kind of the real point here is that I recommend being ready, right? Whether it's XRP shooting up or any crypto craziness, a little preparation, it goes a long way. The last thing that you want to do here is to be that person screaming, "Let me in," at an exchange sign-up page while the price is a roller coaster. All right, let's zoom out and wrap this story up, because it's been a pretty wild ride, right? From the moment that I saw that $120 trillion figure to imagining a $62 XRP and even sharing my own little Unity node adventure, here is what the takeaway is. For me, this is actually it, right? Ripple is making some pretty powerful moves that give XRP a shot at real utility in one of the biggest markets imaginable. That is insanely bullish, but it's not going to be an overnight ticket to Lambo land, right? It is more of a high-speed train being built piece by piece. Once it is on the tracks, it could be unstoppable, but we're watching the construction here in real time. As an average guy on this crypto journey, I'm hopeful and of course I'm a bit hyped, but also realistic. I'm going to keep accumulating when I can. I'm going to keep exploring projects like Unity to grow my holdings and hedging my bets to at least by staying more versatile and of course more informed. And who knows, maybe a year from now, right, I'll be making a video titled "I told you so" at $60 XRP, right? Here's the footage. Now, maybe not, right? I might be making one titled "Why $60 XRP might take longer than we thought," right? Either way, you know what's going to happen? I'm going to be here for it. And I'm glad to have you all along on this adventure with me. The crypto world is never dull, that is for sure. So the question is, what do you think? Will XRP's $120 trillion gamble actually pay off? Is $60 XRP a moonshot, or is it just complete madness? You can let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, or join us in the Discord and we can keep the curiosity burning there. For now, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and I will catch you all in the next one.